how do you just suddenly start loving yourself? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Dear M, I get told all the time that I should love myself more. I've recently really got into personal development and I can see where I have not loved myself in the past and how this has affected my reality. My question to you is, how do I love myself more? I'm hoping you can help because I haven't got a clue. So I thought this question was a fucking solid question because it's true, isn't it? You hear it all the time, like, you just need to go and love yourself more. That's as useful as a fucking fart in a jar, isn't it? Go and love yourself more. Like, if you have spent the last 4 decades of your life not loving yourself for whatever reason, how do you just suddenly go, boom, flick a switch and start loving yourself? I think it's really important that we nail this idea of what self-love is, because it affects every area of our life. If you don't love yourself, if you don't value yourself, if you don't see your own worth, if you don't trust in your own being to take those wonderful, amazing chances and opportunities that the universe is probably throwing down in your pathway that you're either not even seeing or certainly not taking the action to take up and create something wonderful with them, then life does. It gets really introverted and it gets really insular, and that's when you realize that you spent Monday night through to Friday night sitting on your sofa with an Uber Eats watching Netflix and not really experiencing the abundance that this universe has to offer for you. But I get it. How do you just suddenly start loving yourself? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Self-love it doesn't happen overnight, and it's not incremental, and it's not linear. You know, I have days where I wake up in the morning and my internal dialogue, and that's not always necessarily the words that I hear inside my brain. Sometimes it's the way I feel, sometimes it's the way I act, sometimes it's the way I react to other people, is just off. I've been practicing hardcore every single day, self-love, for the last 3 years. And I still have days where I don't feel like I'm good enough. I'm trying to change a habit or change a paradigm or change a belief or change something about the identity that I so far have come up with. And that is clunky. And I will get a little bit of pullback on that from my old identity, from my old way of being, from my old thinking, from the comfortable neural pathways that are firing off. And so we call it integration, and it's just, you know, the old you and the new you clash a little bit. And so I think when people start on a self-love journey, when they get to integration, when they get to that inevitable stage where they like start pulling back and they feel like they're regressing a little bit and they're like, this shit doesn't work, they give up. And I think it's really important that I am really clear that that will happen. If you're in a place right now where you don't love yourself, you don't see your own self-worth, and you don't trust yourself, when you start doing this work and you start seeing the shifts and you start seeing and feeling the benefits around you and watching as that sort of draws into your reality, there will be a part of your brain that goes, no, I want to go back to being a bitch who doesn't like herself. And that's normal. And it would almost be weird if you didn't have that happen. So, you know, this journey isn't always going to be every single day gets incrementally a little bit better. 1 and 1 makes 2, plus 1 makes 3, plus 1 makes 4, plus 1. That's like that binary code of life, that linear understanding that our human brain loves so much doesn't apply in this context. You're going to have days where you're going to be like, boom, bitches, I'm nailing this. And then you're going to have days where you're like, who the fuck even am I? And I think that's normal. It is about learning how to deal with that contrast and take action in spite of that contrast. The first is that you've got to take responsibility, and I talk about this quite a lot because it's so important. You know, as you start unpacking who you are and why you are the way that you are going to realize that there have been all sorts of people in your past who have contributed to the version of you that you currently are. And it's really easy in those times to say, I am like this because of that person, of that incident, of that moment in school, of the way that my mum was, in the behaviour that my dad displayed. And when we do that, we absolve ourselves of the responsibility of being a motherfucking grown-up. I truly believe that people are doing the best that they can with the resources that they have available to them. And if they knew any better, they would do better. I truly believe that. I think that way of looking at life is much nicer. And what it does is it gives me the responsibility to take charge in how I am going to choose to deal with other people and how I am going to choose to take the responsibility for my own life and for my own thoughts. Yes, I am a product of my environment, absolutely, without doubt. The way my parents raised me, the way I went to school, the environment I grew up with, all of those things have created the Emily Chadbourne that we see and know today. But I've gone one step further with that and gone, but who do I want to be? Not what do I believe I am, who do I want to be? And then I have to start believing I can be that person. And then I have to start acting like that person today instead of waiting for her to come up and knock on my door tomorrow, because she won't. I have to be here today. And so I think, taking responsibility is so fucking important. Because if you don't, you'll just be blaming other people for who you are. And if you're blaming other people for who you are and how you act and how you feel, then you don't have the power to change it. So take responsibility. Who are you going to be today? Not who did someone teach you how to be. Who do you want to be today? How do you want to react to that person? And you can't always control that first thought, but you can always control your second thought. So taking responsibility, taking ownership for your own being, both physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, that's really important. You literally do that by telling yourself, I take responsibility for myself today. I choose to take responsibility. Say it to yourself when you wake up in the morning if you need to. That means, how do I want to feel at this particular moment in time? How do I want to react to this person? What am I going to choose to make that mean? My initial reaction is, that person said that to me because I'm a terrible human. But what if I chose to make what she said mean something different? What if I chose to make her comment, her flyaway, snidey remark about her and not about me? What if I took that responsibility, took that ownership? How would that feel? So the second thing is, you have to start working out what it is that you believe to be true about yourself and about other people. And this takes work. This is forever work. This isn't an exercise that you do once. This is something that you do repetitively all of the time. It will be initially an exercise that you sit down and do, but after a while it becomes sort of ingrained in the way that you think. It almost becomes a habit to sit there and be like, okay, this is the reality that I am seeing right now. This is the reality I'm currently experiencing. If I wanted it to be a different way, what would I need to believe? And what you believe to be true, you will manifest into your reality. You will create that reality for yourself, both in your own action, but also in terms of your sort of frequency, what you bring in terms of other energies, in terms of experiences, circumstances, opportunities, and people. And so, what is it that you believe to be true about money? If you believe that making money is hard, or if you believe that money makes people evil, then funnily enough, your bank balance is probably going to reflect that. What do you believe to be true about relationships? If you believe that all men are cheating assholes, I'm going to hazard a bet here that your experience has been that you've been cheated on loads. And it's the chicken or the egg thing, isn't it, right? Because right now, that's what you believe, so that's what you're experiencing or manifesting or creating. And then that reinforces your belief, which will then reinforce your reality, which reinforces your belief, which reinforces it, and so we go. So until we take responsibility to go, fuck that fucking noise, I'm no longer creating a reality for myself where this is real. I'm going to create a different reality for myself. I need to believe something different. I need to go and gather evidence to support this new belief, and I need to act and wake up and be in that new state of believing. Then nothing is going to change. We will defend our beliefs, and we will self-sabotage, and we will create realities for ourselves. We will embody the belief that we have. So if you believe that life is hard, guess what? If you believe you're a worthless piece of shit, guess what you're going to manifest? Guess how you are going to act? Guess what you are going to create for yourself? A life where that belief is proved to be true. You have got to like yourself first. And I hear all the time people just go off and love yourself. Just go and tell yourself you love yourself. But 3 years ago, I was waiting tables for $20 an hour, and it's not that I didn't love myself. I didn't even like the person that I was. I didn't want to hang out with me. So how I could expect anyone else to want to hang out with me was just impossible, let alone have a business and clients and money and, you know, an abundance of love in my life. I didn't like who I was. So loving myself felt way, 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 way too abstract a concept for me. And I remember once listening to some work that Louise Hay did, and she was talking about looking at yourself every morning in the mirror and telling yourself, I love you, over and over and over again for a full 30 seconds. And I was like, oh, that sounds so wanky. Oh, I love you, I love you. I'm not doing that. Anyway, then a friend of mine at the time was like, hey, have you done this Louise Hay work where you like look in the mirror? And I was like, no, it's so wanky. God, I'm not an idiot. Anyway, she was like, well, actually, it's meant to be fucking awesome. And then I had this idea, which was what I'm doing right now isn't working. So even if I think that this idea of looking at myself and telling myself I love myself in a mirror is wanky, what I'm doing right now is absolutely not working. So if it's not working, why don't I try doing something different? And I was like, right, 30 seconds, put my stopwatch on my phone. This is how, like, this isn't gonna work, I was about it. My stopwatch on my phone. And I look in the mirror and I go, I couldn't say the words. I could not look myself in the eye and tell myself that I loved myself. I couldn't do it. And I called my mate the next morning and I was like, I can't do it. Like, I cannot look at myself in the mirror and tell myself I love myself. And it's quite an emotional thing, really, because it's sad to realize that at the age of 33, you don't love who you are, as I was at the time. And my mate, bless her, she turned around and she went, so start by liking yourself. Try telling yourself that you like yourself. And so that night, I put my stopwatch on my phone and I look in the mirror and I was like, I kind of like you a little bit. And that's where I started. I started with kind of liking myself a little bit. I started by looking in the mirror and saying, if I had to pick one thing, just one thing, what can I say about myself that I like? So start with the small little things, you know. I think a lot of the time we look at something like, we're like, I'm going to go and love myself. And it's just like this massive fucking unclimbable mountain. Or I'm going to go and start a business. And it's just like, boof. You know, it's just like, it's too big. I'm going to go and lose 5 stone. Boof. It's too big. It's too much. What one thing can you do today? One tiny little thing that if you did it every single day, that small, almost insignificant little thing will grow into be something that is huge. And so start with liking yourself. Number 4 is you've got to be really careful what you feed yourself. And I mean this on every single level. I am careful about what goes into my body, not just in terms of what I eat, but also what I listen to, the people I hang out with, the environment that I put myself in. Are you listening to, you know, other people's opinions who, as much as they might be great people in your life or important people in your life, does, you know, how are their results? You know, if you are constantly asking your mate Sandra for advice and your mate Sandra is in a relationship which fucking sucks and she's doing a job that she fucking hates and she spends Monday through to Friday just sitting at home on her ass watching Netflix and eating Uber Eats, doesn't have a social life outside walking her dog around the park on a Saturday morning, she's slightly overweight and hates herself. What the fuck? How is that not going to be a reflection of your own reality in some way, shape, or form? So start thinking about what you're feeding yourself. Are you sitting at home and eating shitloads of sugar and crap and processed food? Because that is going to have a massive effect on your physical, literal vibration of your body. It's going to have a massive effect on your mental health, your physical health, how you feel about yourself, how you rock up the next day, how lethargic you are, how exhausted you are by life. You need to change that shit really quick. So start thinking about what you're feeding yourself, what communities you're hanging out with, what you're telling yourself, what you're allowing yourself to listen to. You know, I'm really precious about what I listen to, what I watch. I don't watch stuff that makes me anxious. I don't watch stuff that puts me on edge. I don't watch stuff that scares the shit out of me. I don't watch stuff that puts dark, heavy thoughts into my brain. I watch the stuff that's really empowering, that's really uplifting, that makes me laugh, that makes me want to be the fuller, more expressive version of me. And I hang around with people who draw that out in me. And I choose the experience in any given opportunity to do the stuff that's nourishing for my soul. So I'm careful about what I eat, I'm careful about what I listen to, I'm careful about the conversations I partake in. And number 5 is find a good community, and that kind of leads on from number 4. And again, if you haven't been blessed, I guess, with a great community, there are 2 things that you can do. Is that you can look introspectively and go, okay, well, what vibe am I putting out? Like, do I want to hang out with me? And if I don't, what small adjustments can I make? Not massive, huge ones overnight, because that's overwhelming and scary, but what small things can I do today to make myself like myself more, so that other people can then see my own work, my own value, and my own worth as well. And therefore, I can sort of start really integrating myself into a beautiful tribe of people. And of course, the other thing is find that tribe on the internet if it's not necessarily on your doorstep, or if you don't feel like you are at the point right now where you can just like walk into a room full of new people and be like, hi, I'm awesome, because you don't feel that yet. So, you know, go out looking on Facebook. Facebook's got some amazing communities, as much as we all diss the internet. You know, if you can really find a great tribe of people who are on this sort of same similar journey to you, then you will be able to access all sorts of beautiful, wonderful new ways of thinking, which you yourself might be able to adopt. And if you're looking for a community like that, then I heavily suggest you head over to that crazy thing called life. Okay, so those are my 5 top actionable tips for going out and sorting out your own self-love. Number 1, take full responsibility for it. What is it that you believe to be true about yourself or about the area of life that you would like to see changing? Number 3, if you can't go straight to loving yourself, like yourself first. What small, tiny little step can you make today so that you can go to bed tonight, look at yourself in the mirror and go, I like you for that. Number 4, what are you feeding yourself? And number 5 is be part of an awesome community. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Collective wisdom is completely where it is at. Start really thinking about putting yourself in the sort of community of people who are loving themselves and on that journey to really mastering the art of self-worth and self-trust. It's totally worth it. It will completely change your reality. Are there bits of it that are hard and uncomfortable? Absolutely. But that, my friend, is why you need to get yourself a beautiful community with support and love and nurture, so that you can have those moments where you're like, being a human is a clusterfuck. What the fuck? Because it's normal. I sound a little bit like a man. Ugh, whatever. Stop moaning about how shitty life is. Said with love, but true story. Hey you, I think you're great. I love you. It's not great, but I'm going to eat this burger and pretend like I'm enjoying it. Do I say that right? I've only lived here 8 years. Perrine. One of them. It's bullshit exciting. I secretly wanted to punch him in the fucking face. Yeah, I did my weekend really well. I feel like shit on Monday. No. What was I doing? Come to meet me live. And he's funnier in real life.